Hi, and I'm Lise Colucci. Want to talk to you today about narcissist and boundaries. How and why the narcissist completely destroys any boundaries you set. Completely just doesn't even, they don't care. They don't adhere to, they don't listen to, they don't respect your boundaries. How and why? Okay. So, first of all, welcome. I'm Lise Colucci, one of the life coaches at QueenBeeing. I'll talk to you about that later. Let's get started with the boundaries. Why why is that like such a common thing that a narcissist can't respect your boundaries? Well, first off, because they live in a delusion. We have to remember they live in a delusional world where they believe they're better than everybody else. They believe they are the authorities on everything. They believe that they're more important than others and that what they feel and think matters the most. They're basically entitled to other people. They're entitled to your time, your energy, your emotions. They see you as a possession. They're even entitled to your possessions in their mind. Of course, they're not actually entitled to any of this, but that's how a narcissist thinks, right? They are thinking that that it's all owed to them. That they are also people who need power. It gives them the feeling of power and control in a relationship when they are able to push the boundary lines, when they are able to say, I'm going to listen, I'm going to do whatever I want, right? It makes them seem important and powerful if you bend, if you change, if you accommodate, if you appease, or you do anything to please them. If you have a moral uh, ideal, or if you have your own version of, well, we all do. We have our own version of our own, what we do and don't want to do, who we do and don't want to be, that type of moral. I don't mean religious or political morals. I mean our own compass of where we want to direct our life and how we want to be as a person. When we have that and they can bend it, they can shape it, they can change it, they can crush it and destroy it. Imagine the power that that gives to a narcissistic person who is out for supply from you. All right. They lack empathy. The narcissist, I think I have said this on every single video I've ever made, but a narcissist lacks empathy. We know this. Okay. What does that mean in this situation? It means that they can treat you like a possession or a belonging. Therefore, what rights do you have to any boundaries that you set in your life, according to them? Nothing, none. All right. They don't have a sense of your individuality, especially if well, not especially, but you notice it if you're looking at narcissistic parents. You will see that they don't allow their children to have individuality, to be their own person, to have their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own anything that would make them a whole and a unique individual person, right? And with that, that means that you, if you are that person, or if you're with any narcissist who is doing this, you don't have your own rights to be who you really are, according to them. So you're right there to do nothing more than serve them, to, do their bidding, to do as they wish, to accommodate them. Even if by that it means arguing with them about why they're doing this thing to you. Does that make sense? They're controlling it all. They're pushing the boundaries. You're only there to serve the boundaries they put in place. Okay. They lack self-confidence, believe it or not. And that creates a need to control others. What I mean by that is a confidence in their true self, a confidence in them as an individual on their own, being okay without the need for praise and approval, and not approval, worship, right? Without us stroking and supporting their ego. I'm not talking about needing validation for things they've done. I'm talking about the ultimate and supreme need for them to be the all powerful, the all knowing, and all of that. How can you be that without other people supporting it? That's a form of lack of self-confidence, right? It's a little different than someone who is a people pleaser and that type of self-confidence lacking. Okay, so they will manipulate you. They will force your compliance and break you down. They'll break down your sense of self. And what did I say here? You will more readily, if all of this happens. So if they're able to break down your sense of self, if they're able to break down your confidence, if they're able to push your boundaries, what's left except serving them and their needs and their wants, right? Okay. So how does a narcissist push boundaries? And I would like anyone in chat to just tell me boundaries you've had pushed if you want, and we will see if we can get them on here. Or anyone watching this, let me know in the comments, how have narcissists pushed your boundaries? How and why do you think it's happening? What do you see as their form of manipulation? What are they doing? All right. So one way that narcissists will push boundaries is through circular argument and gaslighting. And they do this because, like, so if you are in a discussion with them and they start gaslighting you, or they start having a circular argument with you, you lose sight of the point you're trying to make. You may have a boundary with yourself or with other people that says, my boundary is if I'm having a discussion, it's important that I will be listened to. I will be taken into consideration and my point will be equally valid. And so the circular argument, this gaslighting, it diminishes that, it demeans it, and it makes it so you lose track of what you're doing, throws you off balance. And then there you are. There is no, and then you might start yelling back, which might be another personal boundary you have with others and yourself. And that is, I don't engage in violent communication or toxic communication or yelling conversations. And there you go. It's pushed, it's done. You've crossed the line. And now, what are they controlling? They're controlling the fact that you look crazy, that you look angry, that you're the one that's the problem. And they can twist, which is another way, twist your words and twist the story to gaslight and make it all like it's your fault. Okay. And here's the next one, which we're coming to, is blaming and twisting the narrative, kind of what we were just talking about, but twisting the narrative so they make it seem like you said you wanted to do the thing. Or you see this in, how can I word this? In areas of intimacy, a narcissist will push boundaries, especially if they are in communities or in lifestyles that have dynamic roles in them. So you've agreed to being on the more submissive end of things. Therefore, you'll do whatever I say. That is not how it's supposed to go. It is not how most people, and see, they don't just take, I'm trying to say something bigger than I'm able to articulate right now. Basically, you step into something like not involved in that. So maybe you're not involved, you're just like, whatever. And they will twist things so that your intimate life becomes now about this power dynamic, when that was never in play. So that's just one example. Another example of twisting things might be, getting you to say things. Oh gosh, I don't have a good example here. I'm going to go on. We'll come back. I'm going to come back with a better example of twisting the narrative. You know what I mean? If it happens, they twist your words, they twist their words. Here, twisting the narrative includes making things about them, the narcissist, when it never was in the first place. Yes, or vice versa, making it about you when it never was in the first place, so that it looks, so all the focus goes on you and you being the problem. And boom. And how does that cross a boundary? Well, usually there's a boundary in place that they're pushing in, and they're using this technique to cross over the line. Does that make sense? Okay. They will minimize your feelings. They'll minimize your feelings. And if you, no, I don't want to go to a party tonight. I'm tired and I feel uncomfortable being around people when I'm tired. And they say, oh, come on, you don't really feel that uncomfortable. Or, well, minimizing how you're feeling about something to the point where you just give in and go, right? Oh, you're right. Okay. And then you go and you're like, why am I here? I feel manipulated. Basically, when they're minimizing your feeling and they're crossing a boundary, at the other end of it, once the boundary's crossed, you will feel like you've been manipulated, or you've been coerced into doing something you didn't want to do, or saying something you shouldn't have said and didn't want to say, that kind of thing. So they'll play the victim. There's another way. They play the victim to cross a boundary all the time. They will Again, that's changing the narrative, right? Changing the narrative to become the victim, but in a more specific way that so say you are in an argument and they're gaslighting you and then they twist things to make themselves the victim. They go into shutdown and curl up like a child and cry or whatever or get upset and then or go silent and then you're consoling them. Where's your boundary? You just stepped across your own boundary and you're consoling someone who was just really toxic to you, right? So, yeah, and they do it on purpose to get away with whatever they want to get away with. They'll call you crazy or too sensitive. We talked about that. They'll rage. You do this or else. You change this or else. You change this or else I'm leaving. You do this or else I'm out. That ultimatums and rage and harassment sort of. Okay, they push and push. So I know, like, say you are parallel parenting with a narcissist and they say, I want extra visitation on Saturday. And you say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that this Saturday. And they say, why not? And you say, because I'm not doing that this Saturday. And they say, the child wants to see me Saturday. And you say, I'm not able to do that this weekend. And they say, well, I don't see why not. You should be able to do that. And then 2 days later, I talked to the child. They want to see me on Saturday. Push, 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 and then triangulate in the child, and boom, they're crossing the boundary of your no, right? And they either get their way or they don't from that. They're used to getting their way or they wouldn't keep doing it, right? So another way that they might push your boundaries is by harassing or badgering you about a situation, sort of like I just described, but maybe even in positive ways. Oh, come on, let's do it. Oh, come on, let's go. Oh, come on, everyone's doing it. That kind of, if they're the more social, communal type of narcissist and they're trying to look like the good guy and look like the nice one, the covert, or just, keep forcing the issue over and over and over until you say yes. So how for you guys have narcissists crossed your boundaries? What does it feel like when your boundaries have been crossed, and where does it leave you? This is the reason this is important, I think, is because if we can learn where our boundaries are being crossed, especially if we go back and look at it in retrospect, right? We can learn to place them better with people in the future so that we stay away from people like this. So that when someone is crossing that boundary, we're like, I'm out. Okay, no. And we just, turn it off and walk away instead of trying to engage. Because see what happens with all of these techniques, these are techniques to engage you. These are methods by which they engage you in the drama so that you are part of the process of the boundaries not existing. And then you're stuck feeling like you're a person who doesn't know how to have boundaries, when that's not the truth a lot of times. A lot of times it's you haven't learned how to step away from people who push your boundaries. All right. And then after a while, you forget what they even are. And so you have to relearn, or you have to learn for the first time what a boundary is and how to deal with it. Okay. How to not deal with it, how to have them. Okay. Mystique, hello. When I was really sick, he would threaten to leave when he didn't get his way. Yeah. Yes. When Christine's saying, when someone crosses my boundaries now, I shut them down hard. I'm not a doormat anymore. Correct. Yes. Because you know what they are now. And it's, you don't want to be like, I kept talking about that on Angie's stream today about how they siphon the energy out of us. You don't want to be a full flowing faucet for someone to siphon. And that's what this is, right? Hello to everyone. Hi, Ellen, Daisy, UNAs, Mibo, and Christine and Mystique. Jack, thank you for being here and modding this. Let's see, did I miss anything? Before we get onto that, so like you said, like somebody said here, pressuring you into situations with threats of abandonment. That's a biggie, right? And it's not like you just meet them or you're with them a little while and everything's happy, and all of a sudden they're pressuring you. It's slowly. They start pushing on the line. They push on that line. They slowly move your baseline. So if your baseline's here, they just start edging and hedging until your baseline is way over here and you're like, how'd I get here? And you will find yourself doing things thinking, this isn't me. Why am I doing this? I don't enjoy this. I never wanted to do this. You betray yourself. Yeah, there you go. For me, it's not betraying myself. Exactly. When you're doing it, you feel that self-betrayal, and that self-betrayal turns into a feeling of self-shame and self-hatred sometimes because because you're engaging in it, right? You're participating. What we have to remember is we're not participating, we've been manipulated, and we've had the thoughts, ideas, and stresses implanted into our way of acting and our way of being and our way of perceiving ourselves because it's a slow process. It's not a long drawn out. I mean, it is a long drawn out thing, not a quick and immediate thing. It can happen fast with a more psychopathic or sociopathic person. That psychopaths operate very fast sometimes, and people don't know what hit them and why they're letting their boundaries be all over the place. I have heard some pretty extreme stories of boundary crossing with psychopathic people. They have the power of persuasion, they have the power of manipulation, they have the power of, and I'm saying they have the power, what I mean is they use the power that they know how to throw at people, and so we got to be aware. People learn the red flags, learn how to engage with people that you just meet in a way that maintains a boundary between you and them. And when someone crosses it, question. Question it, and question the fact that you don't know them yet, and let that play out slowly so that you're not pulled in too fast. Okay. So another thing that they do is they do what you ask them not to do. Let's do the direct opposite and like blatantly cross the boundary. So, okay, those are examples of boundaries and how narcissists use them and why they use them. So I'm going to read what you guys said, and then we're out for today, and we'll be back tomorrow. So, um, let's see. My ex-roommate, Bestie, says Ellen was like that. Took me a few days to say this isn't normal. And a good community members to help me realize it too. Yep. Um, oh, good. I'm glad I was able to get on a good time for you, Smeebo. Let's see. I have a question asking for a friend. Someone asked, setting boundaries isn't an issue per se. They would be very respectful of it. If I told them I didn't want to talk or whatever, I just can't stick to it. My own. Okay, so here that's the separate topic. That's the like sister topic to this or brother topic to this, right? And that is, how do we represent ourselves when we are having a boundary with someone else, when we are when we have our boundaries in life, what is the space between you and me, and where is the line, right? And how do we then maintain our integrity for ourselves without crossing lines for ourselves? So what I would say to her, my own rules, says Daisy, I don't want to be too close to them, but I enjoy their company so much. Okay. So they can't, let me restate this. The question is, they're able to set boundaries, but they're not able to keep them, even with people who would be respectful and adhere to and respect those boundaries. So I would ask them questions. I wouldn't say anything to them directly. I would ask them questions. I would say something like, what is it that makes you change your mind? What is it that makes you feel the need to do something other than what you state? What changes things? What are you feeling? What are you noticing? What are your thoughts? And then I would say, go talk to someone about that, really, for real, because it can be a learned experience. If someone is that, let's say, mushy with their boundaries, there's something in them that they need to learn about themselves in order to learn to not be mushy, right? So it's really going to be specific for that person. And I would just encourage them to keep it as a question as to why that is happening for them, and what are they feeling, thinking, what's going on, and then talk to someone who is good at this stuff. They can come talk to us. They can, or find a therapist or whatever. This is the kind of stuff we work on in group coaching a lot, and also one-to-one, where it's like, okay, now what? Now there's me. Now what? What do I do with me? Because really, coaching and therapy is for you. It's not about the narcissistic person. It's for you to improve your life in this direction, up and open and happy, right? Not going down to the base level of a narcissist and just staying there talking about it the whole time. that's what this platform's for, not to stay base, but to just talk about it all the time, right? So, yeah, I would suggest to them to talk to someone and to be questioning why, but not in a judgmental way, but just like, huh, wonder why I do that. Keep the question open. Okay. You have, let's see, I have become okay, says Mibo, with being told, why are you so mean to me now? See, you've had to become okay. And that's the thing. It's like you make a good point there. So sometimes it's keep boundaries because we have had to learn to conform to others' needs and conform to others' wants and conform to being the accommodating one and saying yes to everything, even though we don't believe it. We've been told to shut off our perceptions and view of ourself in order for the gaslighting version to be the truth. And that is why when I talk about gray rock and not engaging, it's important to not engage. And maybe you do have to be like, yeah, all right, it's me, just to keep the peace so that you're not engaging in more and more and more of that energy siphon of that narcissistic person. But inside, you've got to have you. You've got to be your friend and be there for yourself while you're acting on the outside. Gray rock is acting. You're acting a certain way. You're not believing that way. Does that make sense? So it's tough, but yeah. I think I answered that. I don't know. Let's see. Anything else in here that I missed? Let's see. Anything else? Otherwise, I think we're out for today. Okay, you guys. Good. Okay. Oh, Lori, hey. He suggested I forget everything and said he wants me to be fake happy. Isn't that Stepford Wives? Isn't that what it's called? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a life, right? Yay. I want you to be for real happy, whatever that means in your life. So that sounds like a heavy baggage and a whole lot of energy vampiring going on, right? Like a whole lot of somebody saying, accommodate my life, and you're the sacrifice. Don't be the sacrifice. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else, you guys? So if you don't know who I am Lise Colucci, one of the life coaches over at QueenBeeing.com, over there with Angie Atkinson and all the others. And yeah, so if you need any help with anything, check out the information in of every video. There are links to email me. There's links to group coaching, and there's links to one-to-one coaching. So it's there if you need it. Hit me up if you need to talk. Otherwise, I will see you guys maybe tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.